Hey everyone, this is Joe. I am the digital astronomer and I want to welcome you back to my channel. Today I want to share with you 3 features that I like in N.I.N.A. Now if you're not familiar with N.I.N.A, N.I.N.A stands for Nighttime Imaging in Astronomy. This is a free image capture software that has an amazing number of features. Now I've been using N.I.N.A since this past January. When I first started out in astrophotography, I started out using a program called Astrophotography Tool. And honestly, I still really like APT. It is a wonderful program and I have nothing negative to say about it. The only problem was when I started moving over to using the ZWO electronic autofocuser, I was having a little bit of a problem with APT's autofocus routine. Now, I understand they have improved it a great deal over the last couple of months and it works wonderful, but that got me started to look at N.I.N.A. And I really want to say that, honestly, I loved APT. It's easy to use, it's very simple, and I would highly recommend it for you, especially if you're a beginner. But there are 3 features in N.I.N.A that have kind of won me over, quite frankly. In fact, it has become my primary capture software. And so today I want to share with you 3 features that I love in N.I.N.A and how they've improved my astrophotography. Stick around, I'll be right back. Okay, so the first feature that I want to share with you, my first favorite feature in N.I.N.A, is the autofocus routine. Up until recently, the autofocus routine in astrophotography tool was a little bit less than robust. And as I said a few moments ago, they've made some improvement to it and have done a lot better job, and its current version works much better. But N.I.N.A worked from the very first time that I set it up, and it worked every time since. So what I want to do is go over into N.I.N.A, and I'm going to show you how I've got it set up. I've actually got it set up 2 different ways, and it makes it very, very simple. So let's go over to N.I.N.A, and let's take a look at how I got the autofocus set up. And then let me tell you a little bit about how it's improved my astrophotography. Okay, without a doubt, if you were to ask me what the biggest improvement that I've made, what step gave me the best improvement in my astrophotography over the last year, I would easily tell you it is the addition of an electronic focuser. And the reason for that is now throughout the course of the night, I can set up my imaging program to monitor my focus and automatically adjust it if it needs to be done. And so I want to show you how I have that set up. And there's actually 2 different ways that N.I.N.A allows you to do that. And I'll show you examples of both. I'm in N.I.N.A here, and I'm going to show you how I have this set up on my Orion ED80T and ZWO focuser. I'm going to go over here to my options, and I'm going to open up the focuser. And you'll notice if I come down here to backlash compensation method, there are 2 options here, the absolute and the overshoot. Now, the absolute method means that you're actually going to measure the backlash in your specific system. If you want to see how to do that, in the description for this video, I've put a link to a video by Kurt Zeppatello that walks you through how to do this with a ZWO EAF. And so what I did, I just followed Kurt's instructions, measured my backlash. I found that it was 70, and I put it in here. And that way, what it will do is it will just make that adjustment for the backlash. Now, let me walk you through very quickly a couple of other settings that I have set up here. And that is for my Orion ED80T, I've got the autofocus method set for star HFR. To be honestly, I don't know what the difference between star HFR and contrast detection is. I think contrast detection works a little bit better with planetary imaging, but I'm not sure. Most guys have it set to star HFR. That's what Zeppatello had. That's what I use. I use for my autofocus curve fitting. I have experimented and found that for my system, trends and parabolic work the best. Now, you can play around and you can do it differently on your system if you want. I've got my autofocus number of attempts set at 2, so it will run through the whole process twice. If it can't get a better focus, then it will quit. I've got use brightest stars in 0. I've just got that set to 0. Now, this autofocus outer crop ratio and inner crop ratio, I've set that so that it won't use the stars in the very middle section of my image. Now, the reason for that is often I've got galaxies or nebulae, and I don't want the program to get confused. So I found these settings actually on cloudy nights, and I've set those up, and it works perfectly for me. You can try it. Basically, this means that it's only going to use that outer 70% of the frame rather than that inner side. I use the binning at 1. I also I disable the guiding when it is auto-focusing. I set the autofocuser settle time to 1. You might have to adjust that up if you need to. Autofocus number of frames per point. I use 2, and what that means is it's going to take 2 frames for each autofocus point and then average them. I find that works a little bit better for me. It balances out if I've got bad seeing. And of course, I've already explained what the autofocus inner crop ratio means. So that's the backlash, the absolute backlash compensation method. The other way to do that, and I'm going to switch profiles here. I'm going to go over to my, options, general. I'm going to switch over to another profile here, and I'm going to show you the profile that I've got set up and how I do this with my Celestron autofocuser. I've got a Celestron 6 SCT with a Celestron electronic autofocuser. All of the other settings are the same, except you'll notice that I've changed the backlash compensation method to overshoot, and then I've put 100 here in the backlash in and out. And basically that what means it's going to do the final move on my focus routine. It's always going to move it in, and it's going to compensate for the backlash by moving it an extra 100. This works perfect. Now, there is something you need to know. The Celestron EAF, for some reason, works opposite of other focusers. If you have anything other than the Celestron autofocuser and you want to use the backlash compensation overshoot method, you want to put this number, which can be any number. You put 200, 300, 400, any number that is sufficiently large to overshoot the backlash. You'll want to set that over here in the out column and make the in 0. And that's simply a kind of a quirk in the Celestron program. But with this has really improved my imaging more than anything else I've done. The easiest one to set up, by the way, is if you've got a brand new focuser and you don't know how to set up, use the backlash compensation method. It's much easier than trying to measure the actual backlash of your system. You can just simply put a large number in here and you'll be off and running. It'll give you a great curve and you'll be ready to go. Now, let's move on now to my second favorite feature in N.I.N.A. Okay, my second favorite feature in N.I.N.A is really a combination, I guess, of 2 features, the Sky Atlas and the framing tool. Now, the Sky Atlas gives me the ability to search through a database of objects that N.I.N.A has built in, and then I can select those. In fact, I can filter it down. I can use all kinds of different criterion, and I can find the very best objects for me to image, and then I can take those over to what's called the framing tool and really lay out my framing just perfectly. So let's go over to N.I.N.A and let me show you how this works. Okay, as I said, my second favorite feature in N.I.N.A is really a combination of two features. The first is the Sky Atlas, and you can see over here on the far left-hand side of the screen, if I click on Sky Atlas, it will take me over here to this section of the program. And basically what this allows me to do is to see the various objects that are available in the night sky. If you download the optional Sky Atlas image repository, you can also see these images. Now, if you don't download those, you won't be able to see it, but you can see these little sort of rough images. And basically what this allows me to do is quickly see what I can image over the course of the night, where it's going to be located. I can go over here. I can look and see, for instance, if I wanted to shoot Colander 256, this would be in a good position here for me to image. You can see that right now, this is where it's at. It's going to come over here. It's nice and high in the night sky. It's going to stay above 30 degrees for a long period of time. I could image this all the way out to probably 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning if I wanted to. And so it allows me to see the information. I can even come over here and I can filter things down. There's all kinds of ways I can filter it. I could filter it by constellation, by coordinates, surface brightness, minimum altitude. And I can go over here and really find out what I want to image. And then once I have that, let's say that I want to go down here and let's say I pick out Bright Nebula. And let's see what's available. I want to go over here. Let's say I want to do IC 434. And I click on this, which is set for Framing Assistant. This is going to take me over to this section. And notice what this does. This is going to allow me to look at an image of the night sky taken by the HIPS 2 Sky Survey. There's all kinds of sky survey pictures. This is my favorite right here. And this now, because I've set up over here in my camera parameters, I've set up my width, the height, the pixel size, the focal length. I've got all of that set and programmed in here. This allows me then to be able to see exactly how this is going to frame up in my camera. And so for here, if this was, the Orion Nebula, the Horsehead Nebula and the Flame Nebula, you can see I would have a problem being able to image this with the ZWO 533. But I can also plan a mosaic. I can come over here to the targets and see horizontal panels and vertical panels. I could add, maybe I could take that out to 3 horizontal panels and then come out to 3 vertical panels. And look at this. Now I have a total of a 9-frame mosaic, and I can even set it up to set the overlap percentage if I want to change that. And then when I click on Replace as Sequence Target, it will set that up in my sequencer, and I can run each one of those frames sequentially and capture it. Now, an easier way to show you this might be to flip over and just change my equipment back here for just a moment. Let me go back over to the Orion ED80T, because that's a little bit of wider frame. And let's say I wanted to do the North American Nebula. So I set it for Framing Assistant, and look what it does. It takes this, I'm going to set this back to 1, and notice what happens. I've got the frame. This is exactly what the framing will look like with that camera setup, but I can also change the rotation. Let's say I want to switch that over and rotate my camera 90 degrees. I could set it up like that. So now if I'm here and I set up and I go to and make that a mosaic, look what I could do. I could capture that whole area. And then if I click over to Replace as Sequence Target, it will take me to the sequencer. And that brings me to my third favorite feature in N.I.N.A. Okay, N.I.N.A makes the planning of my sequences super easy. The sequencer in N.I.N.A allows me to easily plan an imaging session to go through and lay out everything that I need to do and practically automate the whole entire system. In fact, this winter, this became an absolute joy. During the winter here in Southern Illinois, I don't want to be outside. I want to be sitting out in 20 and degree weather or 30-degree weather. I want to be able to just basically click a button and everything start off. And so what happened now is basically with my Orion ED80T and EQ mod, it's as simple as polar aligning my telescope, walking into my garage, closing the garage door, turning my heater on, and simply pressing the go button. Once the sequence is set up, everything is automated. So let me show you how this works by taking you over to the sequencer. Okay, I want to show you now my third favorite feature in N.I.N.A, which is the sequencer. Here I am, still over on the framing assistant, and look what I can do. If I click on Replace as Sequence Target, and then click on Sequence, this will take me over, and look what it's done. It's laid out each of those frames in the mosaic, all 9 of them. It's listed here. Now I can go over and I can actually set up that sequence. And I have a number of options here, and I'm just going to walk you through them very simply. First of all, I want it to start guiding. I want it to slew to target and center on target. What that means is when I click this go button down here, once I've got this set up and click on go, it's going to automatically turn my guiding on. It's going to slew my telescope over to where it thinks the target is. It's going to take a picture, plate solve that picture, and then it's going to calculate how far off the center of that frame is from where I've got it planned, and it will move it over and adjust the telescope till I am set up exactly on the object the way I want it to be set up. Now, that means that once I have my sequence set up, I can start the entire process automatically. Okay, so all I do is set up my Orion ED80T, I polar align the telescope using Sharp Cap, I walk over, I click start, and what it's going to do, the program's going to slew the telescope over to where it thinks that first frame of the North American Nebula is, take a picture, figure out what it's really looking at, get everything centered up, and then it's going to start running the sequence. Now, there's more that I need to plan. I want to also be able to set up my autofocus. So what I generally do, the way I set this up, is I have it autofocus on the start of this frame. Then I'm going to have it monitor the half flux radius, and I'm going to turn this on. And every time the half flux radius changes by more than 10%, it's going to rerun the autofocus. Now, what that means is I don't have to go back out at night. I can simply click on this. It's going to autofocus at the beginning of the night, and then every time it has a change in HFR of more than 10%, it's going to run that autofocus routine again so that I constantly stay in focus. Now, the other thing I've got to plan is how many subframes I want to take. So let's say, for instance, I'm going to take, let's set the time first. If I'm going to set 300, which is a pretty standard number of seconds for each of my subs, that's 5 minutes. And let's say I'm going to go over here and I'm going to shoot 3 hours worth of that. So 36 subs, 36 5-minute subs. These are the type of frame there are is my light frame. I'm going to dither on every frame. So I could set that. I could change that to every other frame. I could change that to every third frame if I want to. But I'm going to leave it on 1. And then I'm going to leave the gain at 140. Now, by the way, I use a ZWO 183 MC Pro with this setup. And that's a little bit above unity gain. I shoot just a little bit above unity gain to swamp out some of the read noise. My offset is 10. Once I have that all set up, I can save it down here, save that sequence. And then when I go over to this page right here, which is the imaging page, I can just simply click on the go button. If my telescope was set up, click on the go button, and here's what's amazing. That's all I've got to do. everything then runs automatically. What's even more amazing, because I go over here and I set up my auto meridian flip in this panel, if I go over to the options, imaging, auto meridian flip, I can set it up so that it will monitor where the telescope's at. And this is what happens. 1 minute after the meridian, it is going to do the flip. Then it's going to recenter that wherever it was pointing at, it's going to recenter and then run the autofocus. And I don't even have to walk outside in the cold now to deal with my auto meridian flip. So that is an amazing feature. I love N.I.N.A. Those are my 3 favorite features. There's a lot more in it. By the way, I can plate solve. If I'm over here on the imaging page, you'll notice I can plate solve an image. I can. There's other features here. There's that I haven't used very much. If I have a sharp cap, what do they call that? The sharp cap sensor analysis. I can click over here and I can figure out what my optional exposure, have it calculate what the optional exposure is. There's all kinds of stuff it can do. But those 3 features that I just mentioned, the autofocus feature, the combination of the Sky Atlas and the framing assistant along with the sequencer have radically changed the way that I image. It has made everything so much simpler that I can't even begin to tell you how much I love it. This is a great program. I hope you'll check it out. All right, as you can probably tell, N.I.N.A has made a huge difference in my imaging sessions. It has quite frankly made the entire process so much simpler. I'll be honest with you, there is a little bit of a learning curve with this program. And when I first looked at it, to be very frank, I didn't like it. My first encounter with it was like, it just felt very clumsy. It was so different as far as the layout as from astrophotography tool, and I really didn't like it. But the more I have played with it, the more I have worked with it and learned about it, the more that it has really become my favorite capture software, and I've really liked it. In fact, now it's my primary capture software. And again, the most amazing feature about this entire program is it's free. It doesn't cost a dime. So I would encourage you to download it, take a look at it. If you want to learn more about it and you want to learn more about the features, I find that there's a guy that has a YouTube channel. His name is Quiv the Lazy Geek. In fact, I have put his link in the description for this video, and I want to encourage you. He's one of the developers for N.I.N.A, and he has a whole bunch of videos on his channel about how to set up and use N.I.N.A. And so I want to encourage you to go over there. I'm gonna put some other videos up as I go along, showing you how I use it and showing you other features as I figure them out. But I really like N.I.N.A, and I want to encourage you to take a look at it. I've shared my 3 favorite features. If you've got others that you like, please feel free to put them in the comments section. Let me know what you like, and maybe some of the tricks that you've learned in N.I.N.A to make the whole process simpler. I also want to encourage you, if you've enjoyed this video, please take a moment and do 3 things for me. Number 1, subscribe. That way you'll get updates whenever I post new videos, and you'll help me build my subscriber list. I'm up to and should top over 500 followers or subscribers or whatever you call that on YouTube this week, and you cannot believe how I'm excited. I'm humbled by that. I hope that you'll become one of the subscribers. The other thing you can do is click on like, the little thumbs up video over there, just to let me know that you've liked this video and the content, and then of course share it with your friends. Click on share it with your friends, and help me build my channel. I look forward to seeing you next week when we talk a little bit more about astrophotography. Thanks for tuning in today. Just a quick reminder, if you enjoyed this video, please help support me by clicking on thumbs up and share. Thank you.